We will continue the session what is cooking in the region. And the next presenter is Domen. .c, is it domain name or top level domain? Domen Savič, Institute Citizens D from Slovenia, CEO.
Okay, thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to meet all of you and to exchange some words on interesting things happening in the region. The first thing I'm presenting today is net neutrality. It's a concept that is so basic and so fundamental to the whole matter of the internet that up until now nobody really knew what it is, and that's our first problem. That is still a problem, even though we did this big campaign in Slovenia last and this year, when net neutrality came under fire by local and global telecom companies. I'm not going to go into details. We've had a lengthy discussion yesterday over dinner. We can chat after the presentation, but this is the basic definition, or this is the sound bite you want to pitch when you're talking about net neutrality. The concept is divided into, let's say, three general areas. So you have the area of technology, which is basically the thing that you can pitch to ISPs and to people who are working with cables. Then it's a social concept. This is the thing you can pitch to people who are actually producing and managing content online, so media outlets, journalists, bloggers, and stuff like that. And in combination, net neutrality is a highly political subject. We've discussed this on the first day of presentation, that the concept of the internet it's not technology, it's politics. And the net neutrality, it's basically one of the basic principles, as I said before, and it's the question in net neutrality is who owns the cables, who owns the data, and who regulates these two aspects. What we did in Slovenia when net neutrality was contested by the telecoms, we basically separated the campaign into three areas. So you had the general public, the mass media, and the politicians. This is very important because we've noticed that campaigns in this area usually focus just on one aspect. So it's either an outreach campaign for the public, it's either let's say a lobbying effort for politicians, or it's either a PR exercise with the media. And that usually falls short because you need all three teams, all three areas to sort of like co-engage with each other, to debate the problem on different levels, and to sort of create a buzz. So you have, I don't know, you have the general public who doesn't know what net neutrality is. If the general public doesn't know, the politicians don't care. If the politicians don't care, they don't talk about it. If they don't talk about it, it doesn't get published in the media. If it doesn't get published in the media, the people don't know about it, and it goes on. So what we did for the first thing, we did lectures and talks. We needed to establish a baseline, what net neutrality is, how it will affect different communities, different users, and what can they do to promote it, to help it grow, or to help it be sustainable. The next thing we did is basically consultations with politicians. We've realized that the majority of politicians in Slovenia really didn't know what net neutrality is. And when they were pressured by the telecom lobbies, the telecom lobbies came to them and said, look, net neutrality is bad, because if we don't have net neutrality, we'll give people free stuff. I saw an ad, I took a picture of it, have to show it to my friends in Slovenia, here in Belgrade. You see the ad for Telekom Telenor, which says besplatni Facebook za nove pretplatnike. so free Facebook for new subscribers. This is a clear violation of the zero rating term, which is a subterm for net neutrality. So this is something you really don't want. Telecoms pushing services and providing them either free or with severe prioritization over other services. So there were consultations. We also made podcasts and blogs for the general public, for the journalists. It was very important to sort of inform journalists about this concept without, and I'm being blunt here, calling them stupid outright. So you have to sort of create, you know, a general sense of information flowing on the internet, in the media, without directly contacting journalists and say, look, I know you don't know anything about it, but this is very important, you should write about this. So it's sort of like, you create a feeling that they've come up with this idea of writing about net neutrality themselves, and then you say, well, good job, yes, we can help you. Another thing we did is call to action. So publishing, talking about a concept is useless if you don't narrow down specific actions the people can actually do in order to promote that concept. So we basically said, okay, you want to save the net. Here's what you can do. You can write to your MPs. You can write to the MPs in the European Parliament. You can write to the Ministry of Technology. You can contact your representatives and you can tell them, look, this is important. You should pay attention, and we're watching you. And when we did this when we targeted Slovenian MPs in the European Parliament, the buzz was so great that they actually then turned to Twitter and said, okay, yes, we got the message, please stop emailing us about this, we can't work because the emails are constantly popping up in our mailboxes. So we kept at it for 2 days and then we stopped, just to be sure. But this is, again, very important because usually these kind of actions, this kind of civil action usually falls short because the people don't actually know what can they do about it. Like, you're worried about the environment, okay, keep worrying, I guess. So this was something we specifically planned ahead. We prepared a template for an email, so the user was really just we created a botnet of users, but it was a good botnet. I mean, they did good. They did good things. So the user wasn't discouraged by, you know, oh, I have to write an email. What should I start with? How do I formulate it? Is this enough? Is this something like that? Then we did press releases again for the general media. This is something all of it knows. Everybody knows what it is, and we created online presence. So we created, you know, media libraries, websites, Twitter accounts, hashtags, all the stuff, just to be able to put this out there. So one of the problems we've seen in campaigns, especially in Slovenia, regarding NGO sector, is that they don't have the width of a serious, you know, media campaign. So they usually stick to either one way of communication, and that's a problem because if you miss that, then you basically miss the whole thing. We made it so that the general public, the politicians, the media couldn't ignore us, and they were focused. And okay, media appearances, I think I should start out with that, but doesn't matter. Okay, so this is the combination. You can see that we targeted each and every target audience, and that created, as I said before, a buzz, and the whole thing resulted. The whole thing brought good results. The timeline was basically we held our first debate in December 2014. Nobody knew. At that time, nobody knew what was going to happen. We didn't know the thing is going to be voted on in European Parliament. We just thought that, okay, something is going on, we should debate it, we should keep track of it, and we should include different experts, different expert publics to participate, to exchange opinions, and to be aware of each other. Another thing is we've launched the website and social media accounts in summer 2015. The autumn 2015 was focused on media campaign debates, call to action, because the vote in the European Parliament was, I think, somewhere in September or October. The October was the vote, and then we did the winter, we did the aftermath, we did after reporting, we did some activities to sort of promote things further and to basically keep a tab on it. Because you have to be aware, this is something that doesn't end. So the fight for the internet, we've talked about it on the first day. This is not something that is, the way I see it in the past, the internet was this unified box where everybody had the same definition of it. Now you have different publics, different actors in terms online, and these actors are fighting amongst each other. So you have the telecoms, you have politicians, you have activists, you have political parties, you have, I don't know, hackers, and all these publics are fighting for their own internet. And if one of the groups is not aware of that fight and is not participating in promoting their own, let's say, definition of the internet, then that public is the first one to lose because it's not in the ring. Okay, these are some examples. We've tweeted to our MPs in the European Parliament, created clips, blogs, and lectures. So the general, what works, what doesn't work. What works is building relationships between different actors in the field. So connecting IT guys who only care about cables with, I don't know, sociologists and politologists that only care about policy. You cannot, I mean, the best solutions are usually the ones that include a wider scope of different target groups. So it's not just the techies talking about tech and policymakers talking about policy. You need to put them in the same room like here and say, you know, talk amongst each other. Simple call to actions. So actions that are targeted to, I don't know, representatives or the telecoms, they need to be simple to understand because, you know, the public, if the call to action is too complicated or is too vague, the public won't do it because there's no fun in that. If you make it fun, if you make it interesting, if you make it easy to use, the public will participate because it's, you know, oh look, it's just an email, or it's just a tweet, or it's just, you know, something. And on the other hand, it helps raising awareness. I can imagine, you know, a politician coming to work on Monday and getting like 100 emails basically of the same topic. Doing the homework, so doing the back research, doing consultations before you actually launch something, meeting with different actors in the field. In Slovenia, we've had great help from Dušan Caf, from Gorazd Božić, from people who are actually working different parts of the same problem. So Dušan Caf is the president of the president of the, yeah, it's basically a monitoring body for the communication regulator. And yeah, okay, so doing the homework so that you have the complete knowledge of the field, and you don't, like I said before, miss out on thing, and you maybe anticipate how different audiences will, you know, coincide, or where you can anticipate a clash between, let's say, telecoms and users or media outlets and stuff like that. Okay, I said about different parties. What doesn't work? One thing it doesn't work is playing it solo or thinking you can do everything on your own. So this is I don't know, the Braveheart concept. So you as an NGO, you as an activist, you as a, I don't know, media outlet, you as a politician, think you can do everything on your own, everybody's an idiot, and you'll do everything on your own. That's, you know, a recipe for disaster. Because not only you can't, I mean, you suffer from an overload, but you never know, I mean, different aspects of different different groups that are working on the same problem from different sides. And when you miss a group, maybe you've just lost an ally. You complicate calls to action. So you put up this elaborate scheme where people will have to print out, send, confirm, do this complicated task, which won't have an effect, or which will probably fail because not everybody will understand it. Not everybody, if they'll understand it, they'll probably understand it in the wrong way, and everything will just fall short. And not seeing it from other angles, or not talking to your enemy. One of my finest debates was actually with the public, with the national telecom people, where we met in a conference, and they said, yeah, we know you, and said, yeah, I know you, let's talk. And we've debated, and you can actually see their point of view, and then you can prepare a reply based on their inputs, based on them, on their comments. And limited campaigning. That's one of the few things. This campaign was self-funded. It wasn't. We didn't fund it from with the public money. We actually funded by private money, and this was one of the, I think, key reasons we've succeeded, because we had complete and total control from the beginning to the end. And we didn't have to, be limited with, let's say, some, project requests or demands from the financier, who maybe doesn't know how to do it right. We can talk about this later. I have a problem with public funding. With government funding non-government agencies, organizations. Okay, that's it from me. Looking forward to your questions. If you have, the website is resimo.net, and that's it. Thank you for your time.
Any questions? One.
Thanks. My name is George Dimitrov. I'm a part of the fact that I'm a practitioner, legal practitioner. I'm a lawyer, from the good ones.
Okay.
But,
so sorry to hear that.
George Dimitrov, I'm also a practitioner, and I'm teaching IT law, but just I want to raise a question which particularly refers to net neutrality. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that it's quite a novel, it's a quite new, let's say, concept for non-discrimination of users, traffic, or etc. But we speak about net neutrality when we are trying to address some kind of behavior to the operators or the governments that wish to, let's say, to filter or in any way to deprive users for accessing given content. In any way, in any possible technological way. How would you comment some technical practices that are now imposed on internet? For example, like blocking. Blocking when speaking about email blocking, also called block list or blacklist. Because it is a same problem that appears when by technological means someone, even you don't know who, is deciding that you're a spammer. He can block your IP address. It deprives you of sending or receiving email communication. This IP address, this block list is distributed through all the system. Even there is a protocol, DNS or BLDNS, sorry, BLDNS, block DNS. So it's one of the concepts. The other technical instrument that is widely employed, and without it we are completely lost, is the so-called spam filters, which do the same. And I had a very interesting lecture about the legal aspect or the legality of the block list and the spam filters. And people say, yes, but you install your spam filter, though you control, you can open or close it. That's fine, but you do not, other people that send you messages, they do not know that. Is it, so how do you feel that these technical measures that are now employed widely how they affect the net neutrality, because in my opinion, they widely affect the net neutrality. So how we should treat them. You cannot point out only the operators or the government and say you're the bad guys, why you do this or that. But sometimes technological measures, they affect principle of net neutrality, even the law. Yeah, that's my question.
Thanks for your question. I think you can, I mean, it doesn't directly relate to net neutrality, but yes, you have a point. It's basically a similar practice. I would go with basically three major themes: transparency, oversight, and awareness. So for the one thing, the process of blocking, of censorship, if you are employing it to let's say, combat, I don't know, link farms or malicious emails or malware, it needs to be transparent. So you need to openly say it, okay, we're censoring this and this and this for this and this and this and this reason. So that way you create, the other word, you create awareness of it. So if there's a censorship going on and nobody knows about it, it's basically, yes, you're shaping the internet without the user knowledge. So, I mean, I know Google does it, I know about filter bubbles, it's a whole discussion, we can have the whole event based just around this thing, but first thing is transparency. The other thing is obviously oversight. I mean, I've mentioned before the different target groups we've targeted with our campaign. One of the biggest problems we've had is actually with the regulator, who should be our ally, but was actually, you know, sort of like, well, he wasn't the enemy, but he wasn't our friend. He was somebody who should be doing something, but didn't do. He didn't do he didn't do his job because of, let's say, one or two things. One thing was he didn't know what to do. There was no precedent. He lacked proper expertise in theory and in practice to actually implement the rules or to actually enforce the rules about net neutrality. The other thing was the problem with, okay, and we can go into the, you know, I see it as a very Balkan thing, about users, I mean, about people from the telecom industry going into regulatory business. So you have people who were working for the telecom industry and are now working for the regulator of the telecom industry. You know what that means. And another thing was basically lack of public pressure or lack of demand that this subject is debated in a forum in an open space. And I think you can relate this to your question about blocking. So it's basically, you gotta have a reason, you have to state it openly, and you need to have an open debate about it so that everybody is aware about this. I know we sort of, I mean, we usually think that blocking and censorship and this, you know, the east part of the world, I mean the Russia, it's basically very strict about freedoms and censorship and stuff, but I would advise, I mean, I would think, in my opinion, that you need to have a debate, you need to set goals and standards, and then you need to set up, let's say, a monitoring body which tracks these, you know, these censorship attempts and these requests, so that even when it does happen, you know about it. It's out there. You know that you've censored something. Sort of. Yeah.
Okay. Any other question?
Thanks. Zdravko Jukic, I'm member of the Council of the Croatian Regulator for Network Industries. So I just want to quickly comment on your last point where you said we are neither enemy nor ally, because I think what you are doing is quite valuable. You are activist, and your perspective is a little bit different from our perspective, because you said that you have three viewpoints. So it's you are targeting open public, mass media, and politicians. While we as regulator, we need to take more balanced view. So we need to take into account also the interest of the other side, of the business side. So we all know that internet is perfect platform for innovation, but we also have to take into account that there are other types of innovation, like in new business models. So we have to be very careful, because it's also the question of rights of the ones who are investing into networks, not to overdo it. So maybe that's why the regulators have a little bit more reserved position. Thanks.
I agree. We've talked about this yesterday, and we said, I said that you need all types of crazy people to engage. So not everybody, if different groups come together and they don't agree on the same principle or they don't have the same point of view on the same principle, that's not a problem. It's not an issue. Debate, arguments, okay, yelling and screaming, it's actually a good thing to do because you put out the concept in the general public, in the know, and then you can debate about this. The problem with telecoms regarding this net neutrality business, in my opinion, is that they fell asleep at the wheel. So the telecoms were focusing on their business model, which was charging for flat rate. So they said, okay, the connection, it's, I don't know, 60 megabytes per second, it costs 50 euros per month, for example, and that's it. That's our business model. We don't do anything else. So there was basically an airline service which sells cheap tickets. They go for the mass. What they didn't know, what happened then, and this is an introduction maybe in this whole concept, was that basically the airline pilot let on a plane a vendor who was selling snacks. So these are the content providers, Apple, Amazon, Google, and the vendor made more money out of selling good, useful snacks than the airplane with their cheap tickets. And the airplane said, okay, no, we need to tax the vendor. And in my opinion, that's what the problem is with net neutrality regarding telecoms. So they screwed their business model, and now they're trying to get a cut out of a business model that is working on top of their business model. But that's a problem. If telecoms would come out and say, okay, look, we screwed up. We've miscalculated. Our accountants are, shitty. And we are now, raising the prices to sustain our business model, but on the other hand, we're going to give you no censorship, no content prioritization, no zero rating. Everything will be, the net will remain the same. I would be fine with that. But what they did was they kept their prices low, and at the same time they were doing, zero rating functions. They were promoting content that that belonged to them and not to the competitions, and that's bad. Because it's happening behind closed doors, and it's happening without public knowledge and without any real reason. One of the problems I have is that basically, if you look at the last 10 years in broadband development, the speed has gone up severely. I'm not talking about, these, we have a term in Slovenia, it's called white patches, where you don't have a commercial interest in putting out networks, but in city centers, in the urban areas, the prices are low and the speeds are high. And now the telecoms are coming out and they're claiming, yeah, but this is, net neutrality is hurting our networks. The wires can't stand it, and we need, the reasoning, the way I see it is basically, the wires can't stand it, so we need to pad them with money. And that will help, that will help the bits flow. That's, to me, it's not even an argument, it's bullshit. And that's the problem with regulators being too, I know what you're thinking, and I'm aware, and the industry is this big player, they have lobbyists, they have people who are 24/7 doing the thing I do in my, now full time, but previously in my free time. And I'm aware it's a heavy fight, but I think the regulator should, when he's regulating, I think he should, if he makes a mistake, he should make a mistake on the account of the industry, not the public. If you're gonna make a mistake, I'm not saying you should make a mistake, but the regulator shouldn't be a friend of the industry. So it's either, you're either neutral or the enemy of the industry. Take a look at what's his name, Tom Wheeler in the FCC in the US. He's doing wonderful things exactly because he's beating up the industry, and the industry will handle it. They're in the business of handling things. It's not like you're regulating, somebody who can't afford this, who's in it for the social call. They're the industry, they'll manage. If you say that they have to comply with regulation in order to help their business grow, they'll do it because that's what they do. It's not like, I mean, we've talked about this the first night. It's demand and supply. You have to regulate. I mean, the market develops when there's a development on the supply, on the demand side, not the supply. The demand should regulate prices. The demand should regulate offers and stuff like that. But if the demand side is silent and the supplier is regulating his own market, that's just, I mean, that's in the best thing. I mean, in the best example, that's monopoly. In the worst example, that's basically, you know, there's no market. There's just one guy who's saying, I will sell you this for this much, and I don't care what you think about my service, about my efforts to conduct a service and stuff like that. And just another thing, I mean, the telecoms, there was this brief period when the telecoms wanted to get in on the content action. So they developed their own TV stations, they developed their own online marketplaces to sell music and movies. And because they were really bad at that, the user experience was horrible, the pricing was horrible, the whole thing was just, you know, it's like taking a beautiful thing like iTunes or Amazon and then making, it's like, you know, crippling it and saying, oh yeah, now we're in the competition. And when that failed, they tried to, I mean, they're now trying to get, like I said before, a different source of income through, you know, capping prices and developing shady practices, which is, you know, no bueno.
Thank you, Domen.
Yeah.
Let me assure you that we don't have any censorship here because our technicians, they didn't provide beeps for your
so sorry.
wording, so to cover that. So basically, I think we will go to the next.
Okay.
Thank you, Domen. To the next speaker. Aida, who is next?
So our next speaker, she could probably introduce, every time she could probably introduce herself as everyone wants to be me. .me was launched 8 years ago, and since then it grew to more than 1 million domains. And Nataša Đukanović, who is CMO for .me Registry, in her presentation, The World of .me, will tell us on what is the real value of a domain.
Hi, everybody. So I'm sure not everybody wants to be me. I think we were all very lucky when we got .me. I mean, everybody thinks that we got really lucky. But also, what is really important, we worked a lot on it. So the country of Montenegro got the .me as a code in 2006, 2007, and then we opened it for registration globally in 2008. Can I get my presentation? So we got it, we immediately started it to be open for everybody. It was on 17th of July 2008. So it's almost 8 years. Today we are on 1,020,000 domains. We have grown tremendously in 2015 because Chinese people discovered .me. Before that, we were mostly in the US, and that's still our main target market. So we are in general not very active in Europe or in region, even though like 40% of all domains of our domains are sold in Europe, kind of. Well, these numbers changed a lot since 2015. And, okay, so these are the numbers. Okay?
It's okay, it's okay.
So again, the total number of domains today is more than 1,020,000. We grew almost 30% in 2015. Our regular growth is not like that. It's around 6-7% per year, 10% per year. The renewal percentage, because I know all of you who are from the registries would ask how many of those domains are not developed. and how many of those could be a spam. And we are really working hard on cleaning our registry so that we don't have spams. So 61% of domains are used. We have 232 registrars from all around the world, and registrations also from all around the world. It's not 238 countries, it's countries and territories. There's not that many countries. So only almost 1% of these domains are registered in Montenegro. So this is how our growth of portfolio looks like from the day one. So we had a big growth in the first couple of months, and then there was only a steady growth, and then the big growth again at the end of last year. It's still growing really fast. So this is how the portfolio looks like when you see how it goes through the countries. I'm not sure you see what it says. So the blue part is 36% for the US market, and 30% is the red one for China. The rest is UK, Canada, Germany, Australia, Japan, France, and so on. So I've been asked to speak about premium domains and auctions because that's what seems to be interesting for everybody in the registry and registrar's business. So we had the first live auction in 2008 in New York on Conference for Domainers. So as a first thing to say, so we set aside around 2,000 best domains at the beginning. That's what actually the government did together with GoDaddy and affiliates, who are the owners of my company. And we started with auctioning these domains, the best domains. We expected tons of money. We actually got a lot of money, but you know you're never satisfied with anything. So this is how actually it's very hard to describe how it looks like, but the auction, but if you probably saw some on movies. So a guy with a cowboy hat would say something very fast and you absolutely don't understand, and then other people are raising their hands with their pads. And it goes very, very fast. And at a certain point you get a number and you know that your domains are sold. These are the numbers from the first auction that we did. So I'm not sure, yeah, you can see that. So DateMe was sold for $70,000 US, and then the rest. Everybody was very happy. I was not. I expected millions, as you can presume. But it looks like, I'm not saying it is that somebody cheated on you, but it looks like they made an agreement of who is going to buy something, and you absolutely don't want to see that anymore. So even though we earned tons of money on premium domains, we didn't see the real value out of those auctions. So most of those domains are not developed. They are still parked, waiting for somebody else to come to buy them. So if you have premium domains, don't sell them on auctions. We started also working with the online auction platforms. These are some of those that we used. So we tried different ones. We got also good results comparing to the ones from the live auction. And we plan to do another one because sometimes you have to do that because of market. Well, I'm speaking now about the Chinese platform there for CN. It's very difficult to enter Chinese market, so you have to promote somehow, and you promote good domains. But because we don't like auctions, we decided in 2009 we want to do a premium program, which means that anybody who wants to develop a domain, which is on our premium list, can apply for it and offer a certain amount of money. It's not any near close to what we got on auctions, but it's important that it's a good service. It's not easy to determine what a good service is. What we got for that, we got the real value. We got both money and good services. You will probably recognize some of the services that are used today. Well, the first one that we signed was fb.me. It's not even on this list. It's a URL shortener for Facebook. So we signed the first agreement in 2009 with Facebook, and the second one a couple of days after that with WordPress for wp.me. So we thought that our premium names, which we sometimes see as our babies, we really want them to be, to have a nice home and really good and well known in the universe. So we always speak with, well, the big companies like Visa, or the smaller companies, the startups, which we were very lucky with for some of the domains, like Join Me. So does anybody here use Join Me, join.me? And then About.me, I'm sure lots of you have seen that. Those were startups. So we believed in some of the services that are going to be used on the premium domains. That's the real value. So we have earned 2.7 million domains from million euros from auctions, but also 1.9 million from premium domain program. 70% of that goes to the government. We have, just for your information, until now paid to the government because of our agreement with them around 20 million euros. So that was a good deal for them. I would also like to speak more about the values, because I think when you as a brand build values, create your brand around values, that's so much more important than just thinking about money. Money is, okay, it's important, and we are a for-profit company, but also if you invest in values, you invest in your future, in your long-term success. So our position as a business is quite different than any other ccTLD, or more ccTLDs. We know other ccTLDs who are presenting themselves as we are, as a gTLD. But the value, I think we are the only ones who are really investing in the value of the brand, because even one day, if we are not going to be managing the domain, the next company that comes will inherit the good brand that we are building. So we create stories. Domains are boring, we all know that, but if you create a good story about what a domain is and how a domain could be used, especially if we speak today about privacy and controlling your online identity and not putting everything on your Facebook or Instagram or any other social media account, we really think that it's really important that you control your online identity. We have all different themes that we speak with different audiences about this control. And one of the biggest things is actually, we have done, this is a Me Day promotion that we started last year. It's a day where you should take care of yourself. It's actually today, it's just a coincidence, 16th of March, and it's really accepted in the US as a day when you, a day that you dedicate for yourself, like a me time, Me Day. We've done lots of research about how many people really work on their online identity and create their personal websites and personal brands. And there were a couple of campaigns that were based on these personal websites, mostly for the US market. And also, how can students find their jobs? We suggest them to build their own personal website. We never mentioned that it's supposed to be on .me. Of course it is, but we were never trying to be really salesy in that manner. And Googling yourselves. Do you actually Google yourselves? Do you know how much of the content that is built around you is built by somebody else and not by you? That's the control your online presence part of the campaign. We have, with all of these different kinds of campaigns, which are usually around the same story, we have had lots of media presence in the US. Firstly, well, let's mention The Hill, which is the US Congress blog. They spoke about STEM education. We reached them about how much we actually invest in Montenegro in STEM education. And they thought it was a very good story to spread in the US. So that was a really good story. Then we had the US News Today, the money part. Even on printed version, they had 1 week, every day, a part of the text that was connected with Googling Yourself campaign. And the rest, like Inc. Magazine, Forbes, Refinery 29, certain really influential bloggers wrote about these things. So to just recap all of this, we are creating stories. We are not going with salesy version like, here's your me domain, super discount now, take it. We are speaking about the values that privacy, which we spoke about a lot yesterday and today, controlling your online identity, which is really connected with it. These are the values that we represent as a company. The other things that we are really proud of, and I'm going to go through it really fast, it's not much, it's the CSR part of our company that we do in Montenegro. So we organize summer programming school for programmers, for kids, elementary and high schools, 7th year in a row. And then those kids go to the competitions, and the winners in the end go to the International Olympics. I know some Croatian kids were very good with that, and also Serbian. And we as Montenegro also want to be a part of that because we think the education is really important. So we sponsor all of their through-year education, professors and premises, and also the camp, and also their competitions, the travel expenses and everything around that. We are really proud of that, because today we see kids who were there 7 years ago, they are professors now. It's a big success. The second thing that is, my boss is really like his baby, is the first Lego League. Everything around engineering and robotics. You know how that is important today. So the kids start playing with Legos, of course, and then you give them a competition around that. And of course, SparkMe. I guess lots of you have heard about it. It's a conference that we hold every year in Budva. It's a big regional, international conference with speakers from all around the world, with even people we have for this year already 12 different countries. People from 12 different countries applied for the conference. So it's becoming really big. And I'm actually really proud on this conference, and you should definitely apply to get there. And that would be it. Is there any questions?
Okay, so Sanja, are you ready? Okay. We have Sanja, which I just found out that she's the youngest participant in this forum. So she's from Macedonian Academic Research Network, MARNET. She's an IT technician, and her presentation is about IDN ccTLD in Macedonia 1 year after. And let's see if her presentation is ready to go.
Should I wait for the presentation to start?
Oh, if you can start without that, yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Sanja Simonova. I work in MARNET since 2013. And No. The last one, I think. Yes. Thank you for being my first audience.
Ooh.
Okay. May I go here? Cool.
Okay.
As I said, I work in MARNET for 3 years, since 2013, and most of my daily activities are related to the DNS system for managing the ccTLD.mk and IDN ccTLD.mkd. Cool. This is a short general overview of MARNET. Actually, it is established in 1994, but as an independent institution worked from 2011. The total personnel of MARNET are just 7 people. As I mentioned, we're managing the .mk and .mkd top-level domains. From the technical aspect, I would like to mention that we are using the open source software developed by RNIDS called FRET. The model is a registry, register, registrant. And we currently have 19 registers. 13 of them are for .mkd. All of the registers are companies established in Macedonia according to our law. For now, we do not have registers from abroad. The story of mkd begins in 2012, when the government of the Republic of Macedonia brought a decision for Marnet to apply for ID and ccTLD. Together with the Ministry of Information Society and Administration, the process was organized in 2 steps. Cool. The first step was gathering of suggestions. Ministry of Information Society and Administration, together with Marnet, hold a press conference where it was announced that Marnet is going to request for the string. And on its website, it was published an application where all interested citizens could give their opinion about the suggestion of a string that will represent the Republic of Macedonia. This process lasted for 5 days, from 29th of November, when it was announced in the media, until the 3rd of December. Here are the suggestions. Mkd, Mak, Rm, Macedonia, Rmak, R, Mkd, and the voting for these suggestions lasted until the 15th of January 2013, when we announced that the string .mkd was selected by the citizen. Graphic representation of the results. Here we can see the numbers of votes per suggestion, and it may be noted then that more than 70% of the citizens choose the string mkd. As you already know, follow the fast-track process where we prepare the documentation, then follow the string evaluation and delegation. This process took a while, and we dedicated time in 2013 to prepare all of the documentation, and many of the institutions were included in this process. Some details about the things, the documentation that contains in the submitted documents for string approval, and important dates for us were the 3rd of September 2013, when Marnet finally applied for the string .mkd, 14th of April 2014, when we received the good news that the string was subsequently approved and there is no threat for the DNS stability and security. And on January 13, 2015, the first registration of .mkd was made. 2 days after this date, we made a press conference for the media, and after that, the registration of .mkd officially started. Work in the background. We had to adapt some technical resources that we have, and also administrative, because we are using FRED, and I think we are the first country that uses FRED for ID and ccTLD. We had to make some changes in the legislation, rules for managing registration in new domains. Actually, some sections about how to register a .mkd domain were added. And then we had a period of testing of registers who adopt their software to be able to register .mkd domains. Decisions made in background before introduction of the domain. It was decided .mkd to be flat domain and not to have CLDs. Marnet registered the potential CLDs for future use, like com.mkd, net.mkd, org.mkd. I think there are 9. And all state institutions were given an opportunity for premature reservation in order to prevent potential abuse. Also, it was decided not to have a sunrise period if you are a .mkd registrant, and all of the available mkd domains could be registered immediately by any legal entity or physical person. The registration of mkd domain does not obligate the registrant to have a web page with the content in the Cyrillic alphabet, and the prices are the same as for the Latin domains. If you want to have a Macada domain, the first year or domain registration will cost you 10 euros. And if you want to renew your domain, the extension of the domain for 1 year will cost you 5 euros. Rules. Let's imagine that you want to register a Macada domain, then you have to choose a string that it has at least 3 characters up to 30 characters, containing letters, numbers, or hyphens. The famous rule: cannot start with hyphen, cannot end with it, cannot be used subsequently, and you can use only letters of Macedonian alphabet. We have 31, so here I emphasize the characteristic letters of Macedonian alphabet. Promotion of the domain. During the whole process, we made a promotion of the Macada domain, and the institutions and subject entities who helped in this. Here I put their logos: the Institute of Macedonian Language, Marnet and Ministry of Information Society and Administration also, media of course, and the registers. Here are the logos of all the registers that at the moment are registers for .macada domain. So contact them if you want to have. And what about today? It's not very popular actually for physical persons. It's mostly used by the state institutions. We have 220 domains directly registered at Marnet. Total number of Macada domains before I came here was 655. And I tried to make some statistics, graphic, how the registration went, but actually I concluded that half of them were registered in the first month of the registration of the domain. Selected some Cyrillic domains and websites. Here we can see that we have some of the government sector, private sector, and they were very colorful, so I put it here. And foreseeable future, I hope that it will be more challenging. We are planning to promote this domain as an important national resource. The slogan that was chosen in the beginning when the process started was Internetot uči Kirilica, or the Internet is learning Cyrillic. Currently, we are making a strategy for popularization in the educational area and research area, also campaigns for personal Macada websites, and I hope that the next time when some of us from Marnet will be here, we will promote some Macada success story. Thank you for your attention, and if you have some questions, I will try to answer them here or the next coffee break. Thank you.
I don't see any hands, so I suggest we continue. Dusan knows who's next.
Hollywood story, Daniel. We will try.
So it is finally working. It's
like
still a saga, as you can see. I was thinking a lot how to make this presentation, because over the years I have collected a lot of hats or roles. So I decided to present it from the point of view of the current ccTLD manager, register.bg. I will try to mention later why. So first, some prehistory of this idea and story. We started the Bulgarian ccTLD in Bulgaria in 1991 by Digital Systems, a private company that happened to be the first entity connecting Bulgaria to the internet. And I was just thinking that this happened about this time of the year, some 30 years ago. Of course, the ccTLD was created later. In the beginning, as probably most of you know, domain names were not that popular. There was a lot of technology fight, let's say it in that way, whether this internet thing will succeed, whether it will grow, whether it will replace the then important telecom standards and so on. In the beginning, all the ccTLD management was more or less enthusiastic, and we didn't much focus on new technologies, and rather were more interested to attract people to find some useful use for internet and respectively domain names. So at that time, there were already some experiments with names on internet in national languages. In languages, in anything different from ASCII. And the difficult part was that all these solutions were very, very experimental. They required that you install a lot of plugins in the browsers, in the email applications, everywhere. It was not clear how these names would be actually represented. And at that time, Unicode was too young. And in my opinion, very stupid. And I still think Unicode is stupid, but that's another story. So in essence, nobody cared about IDNs at that time. Then some talks started at ICANN, probably at about year 2000, approximately. And with the years, they were heating up, and more pressure from different countries came to ICANN to finally let this happen, because ICANN was supposed to, in a way, regulate how the internet develops, and they have chosen to focus most on the domain name space. When you regulate something, you, in a way, slow down innovation. So this has to be handled somehow. So in the Bulgarian case, we decided to start more active participation in the beginning of 2007 in the Lisbon ICANN conference, where the CCNSO started having more formal, formulation of how the IDNs could be implemented at the ccTLD level. Then things begin happening faster. More people became interested in this new IDN thing, which led to ICANN going to the community and asking who is interested in what. So they sent letters to the governments and to the registries, asking whether you are interested to participate, what string you expect to apply for, and so on. At that time, in Bulgaria, we didn't have any formal public conversation so far. So independently, the government and the BG registry answered that they are, of course, interested in this happening, and that they are interested in applying for the string .bg. At the same time, there were in the country several ongoing experiments to implement an IDN ccTLD outside of the ICANN root. Some of those experiments were, let's say, not very successful. Some of them, of course, were successful, but they were ultimately not useful for the end user because they did not exist in the global internet. So fast forward to 2009, when in September ICANN finally opened the IDN ccTLD fast track process, a process we have studied so well, I must say. This was interesting time because in our society, many more people woke up. We had an intensive wave of opinions. Some of the opinions were very enthusiastic that at last we will be able to use our own script and our own language on internet names. And some other opinions were that this IDN thing is not useful for anybody. It will just create more segmentation on internet. People, instead of uniting around ASCII, will start creating islands on internet based on cultural and language differences. And but what is interesting in this situation is that for the first time since internet came to Bulgaria, we had a topic to discuss with the government, and to our big surprise, the government responded to that call. One interesting side note here is that we just had elections for a new government. So some people speculated that the new people at the government were more interested. I don't know if this is the case, can't say in any, but it's interesting that you will see relation to elections later in the presentations. So we had this chance to talk. We exchanged with the government a lot of letters, informing them of what the process is, what ICANN is expecting, how we can help, what can be done, what is the good way to handle things. And this resulted in several public opinion polls managed by the government, by the registry, and by some other parties that asked the community what their opinion is and what is the string they will prefer that Bulgaria will apply for. And the overwhelming majority of people choose to apply for the .bg string. And still, in a typical Balkan manner, in addition to these letters we were exchanging with the ministry, we had kind of public discussion that did not happen face-to-face, but happened through media, through forums, through all other intermediate means. Very interesting phenomenon, I would say. And when the government got enough information, they agreed that it will be in the best interest of everybody that we have a round table of interested parties, let's say stakeholders, so that we can discuss what are the requirements to apply for the string and what the string should be, and so on, all the procedures. We had roundtable meetings, and we came up with a proposal, of course, to apply for .bg. And the government said that they will want to make the application because they believed that the process will be very fast and very simple and very obvious. And so this is the time when we actually hit some shortcomings in the then ICANN way of doing things. We had a government representative send the application in the IDM fast track process. Everything was nice. As I said, they expected that things will go smooth and the string will be approved immediately. And then there was a rumor coming out of everywhere, which is strange as a situation, that this string will be rejected. And you will remember that just about a year before that, ICANN had asked the government and the BG Registry what their intentions are and what their choice for a string is. They got the response. They said, okay, confirmed it, and never say that there may be some problem with the string. The applicant from the government was informed by ICANN staff that there is a problem with this choice of string and that they should make another application with another string. Then, at that point, we had a very complicated situation because the government found themselves in a situation where they asked for something, they were told it will not happen, and no explanation of any kind. No official answer, nothing. Just some letter saying this string cannot be approved. It turns out that ICANN at that time claimed that they could not provide any feedback because the IDN ccTLD fast track process required that they keep secrecy of what the process is, what the state of the application is, and that they could only inform the original applicant what they can do and what are their next steps. So we had another several meetings of the roundtable group to discuss this situation. And of course, this information very quickly leaked to our society, and the public got sort of angry. Then this, we had a lot of discussions on this, how to proceed. And our opinion was that in any case, the government should not cancel the current application, and that they should instead insist on clarification and push for a resolution of some kind. So the government decided to run a second round of polls, and the most prevalent answer they got from possible alternative strings was we want .bg or we don't want any other ID in ccTLD. And this was, how to say, a bit of shock for the government, because they were more or less prepared to change the application or just cancel it. And I'm happy to say that they were strong enough to resist this urge. On one of the meetings we had, it was interesting because we had a member of an opposition party coming to the meeting, listening all the time of our discussions, and finally saying, look, government people, if you don't insist that Bulgaria gets this .bg ccTLD, you will get into big political problems. So the government had to make a statement that they will keep insisting that this happens. And as I said, it was a very long saga. All this happened in 2010, some 6 years ago. And since that time, we spent years of consultations with ICANN staff. We discussed all possible aspects of why they are not following the IDM fast track process, how they should interpret block schemes, which were actually present in the process description, and that they should at least be able to explain to the public why this string is not acceptable. We heard a lot of explanation of why this happened, coming from, let's say, things like that just happen, to it's your own Bulgarian problem, you need to sort it yourself. I mean, just to choose another string. I remember a meeting with ICANN staff where they invited a lot of their legal advisors to the meeting, and were pointing towards the expert panel people, saying, we gave them your request, they analyzed it, and they came up with the answer that it is not acceptable. And the interesting thing is that in the same room, a representative from this panel was present, and they said, okay, look, we do this on a contract. We got very clear instructions from ICANN how to process each application. The only possible outcome of your application and the instructions were that we should refuse it. Interesting circular dependence. Then, over these years, there were several revisions of the ID and ccTLD fast-track process. What is interesting with these revisions is that in every case, the new revision was opening a new chance for our application to succeed. I'm not going to list all of them, but in every case when we pointed out to ICANN that, okay, now you have closed this possibility in the previous version of the process that we can succeed with the application, but you have opened another. So we want to use that other option that you provide. They said, no, you did not interpret it properly. So it was indeed a very, very funny process. And after many years, finally in October 2014, there was another review of the application through another updated version of the process. And then eventually the experts found out that the big string is no longer confusable. They also found out that is the case for the Greek application and for the EU application, which is a funny situation because in the European Union there are only 3 scripts: Latin, Cyrillic, and Greek, and I can manage to refuse both applications coming from the European Union that were for non-Latin scripts.
Daniel, sorry, 20 minutes. Can you hurry
Okay,
up,
I will.
Please.
It will be short then. So we in a way won this battle, and we had to move forward. We needed to select a manager, and we needed to have some rules. And we turned out that we wasted most of the time explaining to ICANN that they should actually assign this string to Bulgaria, and not using the time to prepare the rules and make a choice of the manager. So the government decided to buy some time by asking ICANN to postpone the announcement that the string is approved by over a year, actually. And they also started by creating a working group from stakeholders that had to prepare the rules and the methodology. The working group was meeting every other week for almost half a year. A lot of work. We discussed a lot of possible scenarios, a lot of cases that may arise for the registry, a lot of desires by both the community and the governments on how things should be done. And eventually, the working group came up with a proposal for both the rules that will be used by the new registry and the methodology that will be used to evaluate the applicants for being a registry. Then it was finally approved. And after some longish period, longer than expected, the manager was choosing according to the proposals that were submitted to the government. And again, here the longish period happened not because the government didn't want to finish with all this, but because we again had elections. And it happened so that most of the staff at the ministry that was responsible for this task was allocated to handle stuff related to the elections. So we have now a new organization called imena.bg, or names.bg in English, that is to be the new registry for the ID and ccTLD. One of the things that the working group had as a priority was that the new organization should be multi-stakeholder based. And for some reason, and we all know the reason, they all were very fond of the Serbian model. And I must say that Dusan is very instrumental in helping everybody understand why this model could work. He has spent a lot of time coming to Bulgaria and making sure that we don't distract in some other way. So the new registry has several founders. Amongst them are Digital Systems and Register BG, the parties that have, in fact, the most experience in this area. We have also, as shareholders, the Bulgarian Library Association and the Global Libraries Fund. Both organizations are very broad member-based organizations with very, very strong cultural ties, which we think is essential for the success of the ID and ccTLD domain, because at least initially, until it gets more traction, it will require some kind of push to convince people that it is worth to use domain names in Cyrillic. And we believe that this push can come through our culture, which is actually preserving the nation. Then we have some commercial backing by one of the members, who is the largest ISP organization in Bulgaria. Not only ISP, but also content providers and other related activities. The work of the registry and the performance and the regular review of rules and
Daniel,
possible
excuse
changes.
me,
Yep.
because the food is kind of getting a bit cold and we are late with time, and I'm sorry for that. It was probably a little bit for the moderation too. But if you could just kind of give us 3 tweets, maybe, for just to conclude your presentation, that would be really, really great.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, and I'm sorry.
It is on the presentation anyway. I believe it will be on the site, so anybody who is interested will get that points. What I would like to say as closing remark is that I am extremely happy that this process has finally worked out, that we have a solution, and I think, that's my opinion, that in going through all this effort, we actually made it possible that everybody who participated benefited from the process. From ICANN, who sorted out their cultural ignorance, in a way, to our government, who demonstrated that they can participate in a multi-stakeholder project, which is very interesting and very unique for our country. And I'm, again, thinking how to involve them in other similar projects. For the ccTLD registry of .bg, it was also extremely useful because we get tremendous feedback from both the government and the community of what their expectations are. And I believe that we will be able to soon implement some of those new ideas. And it's also beneficial because we were able to engage more stakeholders into this industry, which will spread both the responsibility and the knowledge to more people. So this is more or less.
Daniel, thank you so much.